What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope you guys are continuing to do well today, and definitely had to check in with a video about this right here. This is definitely something I was looking forward to, and definitely something that I want to discuss here on this channel. ESPN's annual series of ranking the best players at each position continues on. Remember, this is the one where they poll executives, coaches, and scouts, not players, not pundits. This is just the actual decision makers across the league. So executives, coaches, and scouts, these guys should know what they're talking about. And they ranked quarterbacks today. They ranked quarterbacks. And as Seahawks fans, I think we all want to know what they think. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. I mean, I think we all understand the players. Doesn't really matter what they think. Like the top 100 list that is currently getting updated, I think pretty much every day for the NFL Network. That list is already kind of a disaster. If you've been following that, I think you know what I'm talking about. But that's what the players think. That doesn't really matter so much. This is where the money should be made. Theoretically, these guys should know what they're talking about because they're the ones that are building these teams, building these rosters, and ultimately should know what's good and should know what's not good. And like I said, today was quarterback. So let's take a look at what they got. They got a top 10. Then they got honorable mentions. Then they got some other guys who got votes. So first, let me just say, I think this list is really good. I think this is a pretty phenomenal list right here. Josh Allen, number 1. Pat Mahomes, number 2. Matt Stafford, 3. Joe Burrow, 4. Lamar Jackson, 5. I think that a vast majority of people would agree that's the top 5. They may not agree on the order. But those 5 guys in some order feel like they are the guys at the top. If I had to estimate, I think there are very few people who would argue anybody else in the top 5 at the expense of somebody else. So that's strong. And then they got at number 6, Dak Prescott, and they got number 7, Justin Herbert. And then they got Drake May at 8. I actually think that's pretty much right. I definitely think Dak and Herbert are in that next, like, sub top 5, but very close area. And then I might go Drake May at number 8 as well, actually. So this list through the top 8, I think is nailing it pretty good, man. So yeah, I would say that they're off to a great start. Or at the very least, I guess I should put it this way. I agree with what they're putting in front of me here. So then you get down to number 9, and this is where things start to get a little bit hairy. I know Jared Goff has the stats. I know he puts up the numbers. But I just don't see a special quarterback there. I see a decent quarterback who is good within the confines of a system. I see a quarterback who has a good arm, which separates him from guys like, Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts on some level. But when I look at Jared Goff, I don't see a top 10 quarterback. I see a quarterback that puts up top 10 numbers because his circumstances have consistently been good. And for the little bit of time where his circumstances weren't so good, his teams couldn't win. So this is where I start to go, I don't know. Now, 10, Caleb Williams. So first of all, no Sam Darnold in the top 10. We'll get to that in a minute here. Caleb is a really tricky one. I see where they're coming from, but I know it's a little bit hard to see objectively. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about Team Picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So Download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. I understand that Caleb may not be a top 10 quarterback right now, but I don't think he's as far away from it as some people do. And this is obviously a projection. They think that he's going to be a lot better this year because that's what young quarterbacks typically do. They get better over their first few years. I don't know if this is correct, but I don't hate it. It's certainly, I don't think you could be blamed for thinking this is overzealous, but I don't hate this. Now, I will say, I think Darnold is probably better than Caleb, or should be higher on this list than Caleb, and I'd probably put him over Goff as well. But here's the thing. Sam Darnold comes in as the top honorable mention. So if you want to take that literally, they put him in 11th. Now, I have said this before, and I'll say it again. At this point, I think Darnold deserves to be looked at as a top 10 quarterback because he's played like it for 2 straight years on 2 different teams, right? Different teammates, different coaches, similar offense, I guess you could kind of sort of say, but it's not the same offense. And not only has he performed personally, but you're also talking about a guy who has done nothing but win. Nobody's done more winning over the last 2 years than Sam Darnold. He's won 28 regular season games, 3 playoff games, including a Super Bowl. Nobody is putting up W's like Sam Darnold right now. And when you combine that with his individual play and numbers, to me, he probably should be top 10 at this point. Again, I look at Goff, I look at Caleb, and I think to myself, right now, I'd rather have Darnold. I'm a little more amenable to the Caleb thing because of the projection, but Goff, I'm just not really seeing it. The quotes for Darnold: what a career bounce back. He's been lights out for 2 years, deserves to be in the top 10. High-ranking AFC team official. Playing to his strengths while playing disciplined, can beat you with his arm. I think he can use his legs more. He's mobile. Very positive. You're not seeing a lot of negativity here. These guys really like what they see. So he came in 11th, which is very close to the top 10. Again, I would probably put him around 9 or 10, but they put him 11. That's really not that egregious. So I think this list is pretty strong. Like, you look at the rest of it, by the way. Jane Daniels, all right, I can see that. Jordan Love, this is the one that got some people pretty irritated. And this was also reflected on the top 100 list. A lot of people think that Jordan Love is an elite quarterback, and a lot of people who I respect and were able to make coherent arguments argued that he should be like a top 6, 7, maybe top 8 quarterback. And I'm not a big Jordan Love guy, but they made some pretty compelling arguments, I'll admit. But off the top of my head, I actually think this list has a pretty good read on Jordan Love. I think that Love hasn't become the quarterback that I thought he was going to become, and maybe there are a couple of good reasons for that, but I actually think putting him 13th is, you're kind of barking up the right tree there. And then they got Purdy at 14th. So most lists have Purdy higher. So you're seeing NFL decision makers don't seem to think as much of Purdy as a lot of people, which I get that. I see that. To me, Brock Purdy is probably around here. Again, I mean, a lot of the things you can say about Darnold, you could say about Purdy. Purdy's always been with Shanahan, though. So to me, this is probably the right idea. I think Purdy and Goff should probably be in about the same category. To me, Purdy and Goff are very similar quarterbacks overall. So I actually am kind of on board with this. Baker, he was very, very injured last year, so it's kind of hard to judge him right now. I might move Trevor Lawrence up a little bit personally. Jalen Hurts, I think that's actually about right. This is a good list in my mind. I actually think that with the exception of Jared Goff, this list is very reflective of how I would view the league. Maybe the Trevor Lawrence thing, I'd boost him a little bit, but this to me is very close to the list that I would put together. So was Sam Darnold a top 10 quarterback on this list? No, but he was 11th, and we're splitting hairs here. And this is probably about the best you're going to see any professional, official, or as official as you can be, I guess, ranking list put Sam Darnold, because generally speaking, people aren't ready to call him a top 10 quarterback yet. I think that he is, but he's at the bottom of that list. So putting him at the very top of the honorable mentions, I think they got the right idea here, man. I think this is about the right concept. All right, so Sam Darnold, 11th best quarterback in the league. If he can do what he did the last 2 years for one more year, I'm sure he'll be top 10 next year. If he can have another big winning season and put up decent numbers again and lead the team to deep postseason success, he'll be top 10 next year. All right, let me know what you guys think about this one. I think that, I sometimes I agree and sometimes I don't with this annual list that ESPN puts together, but I always know it comes from an interesting place because, again, these are the guys who should know. And what they're telling us is that Sam Darnold is right around the top 10 for quarterback play. All right, so by the way, tomorrow is going to be linebackers, then receivers, then safeties. Good chance Seattle has presence on all three of those lists. So, going to be fun. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a good rest of your day.